all right. Over here on the right side of the map, it's a Dark in our second semi-final in the Pigsty Festival 2.0. And his opponent, the Mad Lad, picking Protoss on Stargazers like the dirty boy he is. It's Kaisi Gaming's Reynor. Now, Reynor may have admitted that he's played very little Protoss recently. He's been grinding Zerg after some disappointing performances. He was upset with that. But he still feels like, hey, pulling Protoss out on a map that I'm very uncomfortable playing Zerg on is a good idea. Now, I've said to him, wait a second, this is ZVZ, so it's an even footing. He says, yeah, I still think Protoss is really BS on this map, so I'm going to do it anyway. And I was like, okay. All right, so he's going for the Stargazer's PvZ play. Now, when he mentioned this, Dark said, okay, let's play PvP. Reynor said, oh, are you serious? And Dark said, no, of course not. Jeez. I'm not a race trader. He didn't say that. I'm putting the last bit I made up. But of course, Dark did go 3 wins, 3 losses in Protoss vs. Zerg in the Champions Cup Grand Finals where Reynor played, I think it was Champions Cup, a lot of Protoss. But the one ZVZ game, Reynor lost. And so Dark won 4-3. So there's a lot of people who've been wanting to see the PvZ rematch between them, because they feel like they are quite evenly matched. And I know Solar, for instance, who went something like 0-6 versus Reynor's Protoss, so across a few tournaments, actually said that he thinks Reynor's Protoss is stronger than Heroes. Now, I know where Solar's coming from, but I also think Solar played too standard in those series, and I think if you play standard against Reynor, then yeah, he looks like a god. He is a macro beast, but he's nowhere near as experienced at dealing with a lot of the weird adversity, a lot of the strange pushes, the Niduses and all that sort of stuff. Serral on this map snuck an Overlord in the back here and Nidused him and destroyed Reynor's 2-star Phoenix build that he did last time he played Serral on this map with Protoss. Made Reynor look like there wasn't too much he could do, though. It was all based off one sneaky Overlord that somehow Reynor missed and was seeing all of his tech and spotting for the perfect hidden Nidus one. Nice quick third base for Dark. He's got 2 Lings moving out across this map, and you can see Reynor's not chrono boosting his gateway. Dark also saw that Warp Gate started late, so he can infer that there is a Stargate in the main, and he also knows the Adept isn't going to be very aggressive. It's a big map and no shade, so that's probably going to be cancelled. Even if it's not, it's a very slow Adept that comes across the map. So Dark is happy to sit on just 2 Zerglings. He even pulls those home. Starts a 3rd Queen, starts Ling speed, completely pulls off gas. He's just going to play a nice macro-centric opening. He does have an Overlord up in the top of the map. And interestingly, the 2nd gateway in the wall there. Oracle underway. Now, Reynor has not started mining out the in-base, and I think that's a mistake, because unless he wants to take a 3rd out front, he wants to take that base very soon. There we go. He's going to start mining it out. Now, a small thing you have to be wary of is if you tell them to mine that mineral, they might return 1 or 2 trips and then start mining these minerals before mining that mineral. So you do have to actually actively double check to make sure they are mining out the correct mineral patch. 3rd hatchery coming up. Double Spore Crawler goes down very early for Dark, but perfectly timed, I would say. This probe is going to keep mining that out and free that up. Void Ray on the way as well, so he wants to hunt down those Overlords. Queen coming forward. That Spore Crawler might just be the most perfectly timed Spore I've ever seen. Dark a little too slow to pull drones away, though, so he does lose one of them. Only gets a little bit of paint chipped off that. And it looks like this last trip will remove the minerals. So pretty well calculated build order by Reynor. He's got an extra pylon in the back. Looks like he wants to hide some tech or gateways on that. 3rd base goes down at 4 minutes 12. Void Ray pops out. Is going to take this Overlord out. And the other Overlord on the Watchtower is going to try and make a slow getaway. But you got to realize that Reynor, he sees that with the probe, so he's very likely to get on top of that. Oracle comes in and takes a bit more damage. No more drone kills. Very good movement by Dark. Forge and Twilight Council are on the way, as well as a 3rd and a 4th gas. Now, Reynor is a pretty big fan of the Stalker's Storm style. It's so popular in Europe, and this is a very good map for it. However, Dark has countered that in the past against top European Protoss players simply by rushing Hive and going for very quick lurker push on the enemy's 4th base. Something which it's hard to be ready for. So as long as Dark keeps pace in the economy, which I think he's doing a great job of, he's only got 8 Zerglings, nothing else on the map, then he should be okay. He's building 8 more Lings, so I think he might have seen these Adepts coming across the map. Looks like Reynor, ooh, full wall off. Good move. Seeing no Adept in the wall off, though, tells you that there are Adepts coming your way. Otherwise, where the heck are they? Queens and Zerglings popping out just in time, going up to 26 Zerglings in a moment, as well as a bunch of Queens. The Adepts are going to shade in. They're not going to find anything. Great surround by Dark, and an easy clap on that Adept pressure. Really good handling so far. Wait, 3 drones did go down. Okay, looks like the Oracle can also maybe come in and get some damage behind this. 3 drones is something. He's going to go for the gas, boys. Nice hold position there. It does get rid of 2 of the workers, make it 3, and a 4th one on the way out. Not bad. That Oracle doing a good amount of work. Where is that Void Ray? Void Ray is still hanging outside the base there, and that should allow Reynor to try and secure this 4th base. Behind it, Mass Gateway is coming up, Blink +1, but that quick infestation pit that I was talking about, expect a hive starting pre-7 minutes. Lurker Den, Hydra Den will be going down shortly as well. So this is exactly what Dark's going to do, and it's such a great way to play against a greedy Protoss player. So can Reynor get Blink Stalker momentum and some damage done before those Lurkers hit the field? That's the big question. The Double Forge, my least favorite style of PvZ right now. I think it's something which looks really good when the Zerg player is a bit scared and is maybe a little behind against you, but it does delay your splash damage a lot. And I'll tell you what, what situation you don't care about having armor on? And that's dealing with Lurkers, but my god, that is not a Lurker build. That is Nidus Swarmers. Guys, I was just talking about Nidus Swarmers before we started the series. And how he did it to Reynor's Zerg in a World Championship Grand Final to bully Reynor out of that back in 2019 BlizzCon. Well, he's going to do it here. And this is a matchup where it can be very effective. He can pop Nidus's down here and up here. But there is a Void Ray out there. He needs to spread creep and get his Queens a bit further forward to try and get that started. The Stalkers, naturally, are meant to be a very good style versus this. I've always heard Protoss players, I've said, why doesn't anyone Swarm Host anymore? And they've said, well, Blink Stalkers shut it down. The moment they know you've got it, unless you do big damage with your first wave, they're just going to have so much mobility that they won't let it go up. First Nidus Worm about to pop. Reynor's going to hear the Screecher. Dark Swarm Host Knight is coming out. Dark's down on economy, but he's got a lot of Swarm Hosts. The first 6 Swarm Hosts will come in. There's a battery. Some Stalkers are nearby. Reynor will find that. He sees that Locust Wave coming in. Oracle could deal with it. Uh-oh. Make sure you don't lose the base is what I'd say. He's dealing with the Worm, but not actually with the Locusts. I think he assumes the Nexus won't die, and that is not the right call. That Nexus is toast. Oh, what? Oh my god. Wow. 30 hit points. I thought it was going to go down. I mean, obviously, that's way too close to call. Reynor definitely took a big gamble not keeping it alive. But this is a very interesting situation right now. Ling, Roach, Ravager coming forwards. We've got +2 attack, +1 armor, +2 ranges on the way for Dark. Dark breaking the rocks down there. He's going to start sieging the front, not finishing that Nexus. Man, a stiff breeze would knock that one over. But right now, Dark just can't even get a stiff breeze anywhere near that base because Reynor's got very good control. The 2-1 upgrades on the way, charge as well. More gateways coming in. Here we go. The Locusts to snipe that base, and that's a very big one. Oh, he piles down Reynor's sentries as well. Reynor is actually famous for how good his Protoss micro is. It's one of his special features, but of course, busy dealing with that other stuff, losing the 4th. Now, there hasn't been any real kills on the Stalkers yet, and Hive and Hydra Den's on the way. So Dark is going to follow up this 16 Swarm Host Nidus with going for the Lurkers anyway. And if you're still stuck on Stalkers at that point as Reynor, then you could get screwed over. He's got some Stalkers on the bottom side. The Watchtower, though, is being held by Dark. Dark Swarm Host in the open. Reynor dives forward. He grabs 1 Swarm Host, but uh-oh, don't want to lose too many of these. And that means those Locusts are going to kill the inside base as well. That is going to be an absolutely devastating blow. Good stasis traps there, but Reynor still loses a Stalker to the Biles. The Nexus is going to survive. Dark's too busy focusing on the middle. He's not focusing that down, which means he gets a few probes, but that's it. That is going to go down as well. Great moves here by Reynor to keep these bases alive. This base barely surviving. This base surviving as well when it probably shouldn't have. He's still got 10 gateways up. +2 armor is on the way. +2 attack is finished. Reynor's trying to build stasis traps. A single Zergling on the bottom side. His job to get a Swarm Host Knight is popping up here. And he does his job splendidly. Reynor thinks he's got a good ring of vision. But that one little Ling may be the secret sauce to Dark's victory in this entire game. That is massive for Dark. And he is looking to punish Reynor for just the absolute dirtiness of trying to play 2 races. The gall to think he's good enough to compete at top tier level with 2 races. I mean, he's shown he definitely can do it, but it's still something where you really want to punish him for this. And Dark, oh, the Nidus Reynor's gets sniped. He may have killed Reynor's interior base, but he loses a lot of swarm hosts. He's going to have to go into lurkers now. Zealots on the south side as well. Reynor's got a massive stalker count. I think he wants to blink across inside the base potentially. He gets a bit of damage. The Zealots are going to get cleaned up on the south. Dark still is going into Hydras. Some stalkers on the inside. If you get a hive snipe, it would be pretty massive right now. The lurker upgrades have not been started yet, and those, of course, are hive tech upgrades. These stalkers trying to just micro it out here against the Roach Hydra. The problem is, of course, the lack of income behind it. It is not that much income for Reynor, but it's actually way higher than Dark's right now. Reynor just microing his stalkers on two fronts. He says 2-1 upgrades and a pack of stalkers does okay, but these guys are losing. They need to run away. He's going to try and get those stalkers out. The Bile's punishing him on the front. The Zealot's coming in as well. Reynor's trying to take the fight to him. This is a key Locust Wave. Finally, Dark gets in there. He's not only getting some probes, he's also going to finish off that Nexus, and that is a crucial kill. Not to mention taking down a gateway in the wall. Does not get the Cyber Core, so Stalkers and Zealots both can still be produced here. Dark on just 47 workers. His economy is absolutely bollocks right now. He's lost 25 drones in total this game. He's still got some hatcheries alive, but he's trying to slowly re-drone and make Hydra upgrades. He's basically on a Roach Hydra army. It's a survive army. It's not a long-term army, but Reynor feels like he needs to press the advantage and go kill him. So it's the perfect army to keep himself alive here, especially with some Locusts coming in on the defense. If Reynor can get that base, though, that'll be really good. If you can push Dark back to just 3 bases, get the base and run away would be good. The problem for Reynor is there's no extra Nexi popping up. He is on just 2 mining bases. He's got Zealots on the south, but they're derping about. So much going on right now, and I think Dark has held him off. The Void Ray goes down. The Zealots are still derping, and they're derping in creep vision. Even worse. The Stalker's going to try and blink across there into the main base. The Zealot's still running back and forth willy-nilly. An extra Nexus does get built on the inside. Nothing on the natural yet. And you can see that even with a small worker advantage, the income is not great for Reynor. If he pops those Nexi up, he can keep making these units, but it is still just very basic units. And of course, Lurker Tech is available. The Zealot Stalker dives in the front, knocking Dark back to 3 bases. That supply count scares the crud out of me as a Protoss fan, though. I feel like Reynor may be getting absolutely bopped in the next minute or so. Look at that, more Locusts coming in as well. Nexus goes down in terms of being built, and the Nexus goes down as in terms of getting focused and cancelled out. The Zealot Stalker and the Stalker in the main still microing it out very well as Reynor, doing a 2-front fight. I mean, he's famous for that multitasking, that micro is Reynor, but Dark is right up there with him. And it does feel like with all these units getting more and more bruised, the fights are getting worse and worse. A desperate situation for Reynor here. Stalker's trying to fall on back right now. He's got another Nexus coming up on the inside. He's still got a decent probe count. But remember, there's no Storm. There is no Robo Tech. And Lurkers are being morphed. 6 Lurkers being morphed here. If the Stalkers found that and killed them, it'd be great. There's not much to guard them. Reynor is going to push in on 2 fronts at once. These Stalkers sees the Lurkers morphing and does start to back away. Grabs another Roach. These Stalkers running in, grabbing a Roach and a Ravager, trying to get on out of there. Hydras and Ravagers hot on your tails. Does pull back 2 of his Stalkers, get stuck there, unfortunately. These Stalkers down here still trying to utilize the micro advantage with Blink, but he's so deep on creep that advantage is nowhere near as big as he'd like it to be. And in fact, overall, he has been losing more resources than he's been taking. Swarmos do get caught in the middle of the map, so Reynor should be able to shut those bad boys down. Just barely short of enough Stalkers to one-shot them, unfortunately. But Dark's got Adaptive Talons. That's the Lurker move speed upgrade. He's about to have Seismic Spines, and it feels like the night is Swarmos, creating enough problems for the ever-turtly Reynor to get in charge. And now he's going to swing in on top of Reynor's most important base, the one that's been most of his economy for the large portion of this game. There is no detection on the map. He has no answer to the Lurkers whatsoever. He's going to try and fight off the Roach Hydra, but then what is the next step? He has to queue an Oracle off his Stargate. As silly as that sounds, that's the only way he can build detection. Behind it, the Nidus Lurker Roach Hydra pops in the back base, and Dark, with a surprise Nidus Swarmers build. It's these rare builds you don't get a lot of practice against, and it's a fluid build for Dark. He doesn't go all in on Nidus Swarm Host. He transitions to the Lurkers, the Hydras, the Hive. A great way to take map 1 versus Reynor. All right, I didn't even realize that he was sticking with Protoss, but apparently he is for another big macro map, Cosmic Sapphire. We've got Kai'Zi Clans, Reynor. And who knows, maybe he plays Protoss for the entire series. Dark in the bottom right side here. Now, we've told Reynor that he can choose Zerg or Protoss at will, but whenever he does, he needs to give Dark a heads up as soon as he knows, and at least several minutes for Dark to prepare for that. Reynor going to the next game is opening up with a gas first, which means he's skipping on the scout. That makes perfect sense. On this map, you can wall off with 2 buildings really easily. Gateway, core, and if you just scout after the Nexus, then the Cyber Core, then you actually are still able to defend a 12 pool if you spot the Lings coming. If they see you with the Overlord, if you haven't scouted and they dodge your probe with the Lings, they might still get in and do massive damage or you know, even win the game, but that relies on the Zerg going for a 12 pool, going for a bit of a gamble and committing to it. Dark has not. He's gone hatch first. So Reynor gets away with a bit of a greedier opening than normal. Bit smoother on the gas and the mineral mining. Doesn't lose. And that means the Nexus normally goes down about what? About minute 28 or something like that. Instead, it's about 5 seconds faster. The Cyber Core as well. He's going to have the money for that just a little bit quicker. So these little details just allow everything to go a bit cleaner. Cyber Core goes down there, and it's going to go for that probe scout. Like I said, only scouting after going for it. The Overlord doesn't even see the probe coming, so if his Lings were coming in now, the probe would see it. He could quickly turn around, run back, wall off with a pylon, and don't get me wrong, he'd lose the gateway and maybe the Cyber Core, but he'd be able to hold. He'd get a couple units out and would be able to defend. Going for a 12 pool on this map, look at that wall off. It's a really bad idea most of the time, and that's why this is a very safe gamble. It's the best situation to roll this dice. If you flip that coin on waterfall or inside out, you're making a much crazier decision than what Reynor is here. Reynor is going to go and just kind of hang out a little bit. Full pull off gas for Dark. Dark, of course, has 2 Overlords going across the map. He does favor that. Now, last game, Reynor went for a Void Ray after the Oracle. And if you have 2 Overlords out there, that Void Ray is super worth it. So he might just keep going Void Ray after Oracle, specifically knowing that it's always going to get at least 2 Overlord kills, as well as the other utility you get from that Void Ray. Don't forget, a Void Ray can always run in and focus some drones down as well. It's so much tankier and has a lot more range than the Oracle, so it doesn't need to get as close to the spores and queens to start killing things, even though it does much lower damage to drones. First Adept is coming on in here for Reynor. He didn't chrono the second one, so this is just very much Adept scouting more than Adept harassment. I worry if Reynor decides to play Protoss on Inside Out or something like that. I feel like he's a little vulnerable to Baneling busts and some of the crazy attacks that Dark could go for. We'll see what he opts for. Extra pylon going up in that main base. Overlord will be coming through. Second Overlord looks like it's going to pull back at least a little bit for Dark. He's actually clicked that, I think, all the way home. Adept down here looking for the creep tumor. Unable to get it. Dark has done a really good job of just ferrying that across the map. Ling speed finishes up in a few seconds. Reynor knows his timing, though. Look at that. As Ling speed finishes, he's already shading backwards. Probes moving out to secure the third base. And he's got 3 Adepts out. So 2 to guard the third. And, of course, 1 to guard that natural wall off. Overlord seeing everything. Second Oracle is on the way so far. First Oracle's going to dive on in. Queen, Spore Crawler in the main ready. Another Queen is in the natural, and that Spore Crawler coming up just a few seconds later. The Oracle does take a bit of damage. Reynor's going to have to put that one back in his pants. Second Oracle coming out, and he's going to go for a third Oracle, but slight supply block there. That pylon coming up now. This is a good pylon placement because it creates a nice little nook for the Adept, and you can put a battery here, which is very hard for them to blow up with Ravages or Banelings later on when they're pushing. Dark hits a big supply block on 58. So I was criticizing Reynor for a very slight supply block. This is a much bigger one. 5 Overlords at once for Dark. Dark still hasn't put back on gas. Oh, Dark plays like the most ridiculous build here. This is like minerals, minerals, minerals. If there was any sort of like Glaive Adept follow-up or something, Dark would never be able to build Roaches or Banelings or anything like that. This is the latest put back on gas I think I might have ever seen. He's going to drop a 4th base any minute now. Like any second now even. Yeah, he's just taken a second gas, put back on gas now at 4 minutes 40. I mean, it gives him a good amount of queens and spores, but I almost expect him to be further ahead on drones, considering how delayed that gases is. He's really wanting to power up in the economy. Dark is saying, look, I'm not just going to try and rush and cheese you out. Not at the start of this series anyway. I'm going to beat you in the mid and late game. And that's scary for Reynor, because if you can put Dark in a box if he's just trying to rush you, it's easier to just scout for those all-ins and deal with it. But now, what he's dealing with is a guy who's actually out-greeding him. Twilight Forge and third gas on the way. Reynor, of course, going for Blink here, his favored play. But I think predictable Blink play, something which the Zergs have gotten so good at handling, that quick 4th base just after the 5-minute mark. Evo and Roachhorn are on the way. And of course, Dark is going up to 4 gases for now. Building a few more Zerglings. He's got 10 on the map, going up to about 20 Zerglings here. First Forge just kicking in now, up to 4 gateways. Oh, Reynor's actually got a good Stalker count. If he does one more Stalker warp in, he can try and cancel the 4th base. He's seen the 4th. He knows where it is. I would have loved for him to move out, because with 2 Oracles overhead, you could try to... I guess the creep's so good, though. The Queens will be able to defend it. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a dicey play. It's an old school build. Doesn't work too well anymore. Dark Slayer's almost up. He's on 6 gases, 66 drones. He's going to build some roaches for safety, adding +1 range attack as well. Oracles do dive the main, but he mistargets the Spore Crawler. Oracles get 4 workers. Remember, we are on US West right now. This is Dark server preference. Reynor won the coin flip, so we started on Central. There will be a bit of lag for both players, playing from Korea and Italy out here into the void. Infestation Pit going down for Dark one more time. Is it just for fast lurkers this time, or is he going to do the exact same play again? It's Dark, so I'm going to just go out on a limb and say he's going to rush lurkers this time. And that 4th base gases, up to 8 gas tells us exactly that. Dark's playing a very nice game. Reynor has a lot of urgency on his shoulders. He might not realize it yet, but I definitely do, and those of us watching do, because we get God vision. He needs to get pushing, and he needs to slow Dark down, but Dark's got a lot of creep. It's going to slow this push. Roach speed's on the way. Mass roaches, mass ravages, mass slings. He's already up about 7 workers. So Infestation Pit's ready. Does he start his Hive Tech behind this, or is he afraid of this push? Infestation Pit going for pathogen glands! Oh my gosh. This is actually one of the most underrated plays versus Mass Stalker. Dark sees the gateways, he sees the forges, he knows it's going to be a heavy Blink Stalker, and he says, you know what? If I can just land some fungals, like, I can just massacre these Stalkers. This is so deadly. Reynor does not know about the gases on this 4th base still. I mean, I thought it would be a quick hive. Dark just going for some wild plays. The Stalkers with the stasis traps to fall back on. First Stalker does go down. Oh! Almost loses some more there. But has taken out 14 Zerglings. So not too bad at all. The Stalker's starting to harass. 4th base is up. +2 attack as well as charge. And he's going up to 12 gateways right now. So 12 gateways. That's going to give him some big Zealot warp-ins. That's the style. Stalker Zealot harassing from all sides, wearing his opponent down, securing a 5th base, and just outscaling him. Infestors are amazing for dealing with this. And Tunneling Claw Roaches? Oh, Dark. Dark is just the most ridiculous player ever. Everybody else is so limited in their thinking, the tools that they can use. But I feel like Dark is the guy who literally goes into his tool shed. He's trying to fix a piece of furniture, and he's like, oh yeah, there's that one rare tool I haven't used in 16 years. It's in the 4th bloody shelf, you know, from the bottom. Pulls that drawer out. He's like, oh yeah, that's it. Perfect tool for this situation. You're like, how do you remember that's even there? No one goes Infestors versus Stalkers, but Dark's like, I go Infestors versus Stalkers. Look at that. That already curtails Reynor's aggression. Mass Zealot on the top can do pretty well, but look at that. Dark pulls back into a pretty tight position. If he pulls back even further, that would be great. And even just 1 or 2 fungals on those Zealots could be massive. He's going Tunneling Claws against a guy who doesn't have a Robo, which means his only detection is cannons, and of course the single Oracle that's left alive. Now Reynor can still do really well here. He dodges the fungal midair. Beautiful play there by Reynor. Very nicely done. We've got the Zealots coming forth as well, trying to jump on top. But the Roach's micro is too good for now. The 5th base in the north gets taken by Reynor. Nidus in the main. Who the hell expects a Nidus? And it's not just Nidus, it's Nidusing Tunneling Claw Roaches into the base of a guy who doesn't have detection available, using a Changeling, so there was no tell of this happening. Reynor right now is going to have to scramble. Dark pulling out all of the dirty tricks. And we are seeing the weakness of playing such a passive style as Reynor. If you're not attacking until the 8-minute mark, you give a lot of room to this creative genius to overwhelm. Roach Ravager on the north is crushing through the Zealot Stalker. The Roaches in the main, massacring. He's splitting Roaches into the natural. Reynor's army in the bottom, ineffective. He used a recall on the north, but he accidentally only recalled a handful of Stalkers. Reynor is getting mauled right now. And Dark is showing that he is a nightmare for Protoss players to play against. Once he figures out your comfort zone, once you become predictable, he will absolutely torture you. He will find a way to rip your toenails off one by one. You thought you were going into a gentleman's match. You know, okay, here's a power advantage. I have a slightly better striking advantage in the technical arena. No, Dark's like, what are you talking about? Look over there, you turn, he throws mud in your eyes, kicks you in the groin, pushes you over. That's how Dark plays StarCraft. He's not gonna sip tea above the battlefield beforehand and agree on the rules. He's gonna absolutely do the dirtiest, most creative, and best thing ever. It is war every time you step into the arena with Dark. and he will find the most deadly way of ripping you limb from limb. The Nidus infestors, first of all, then the Nidus, and the Tunneling Claw Roach. It's just such a beautiful combo, and it makes perfect sense. He has such a deep understanding of the fact that Reynor's style has no robos, it has no detection. It's so reliant on the Blinkstalker mobility to get efficiency off creep and on creep, where the Fungal shuts that down. And the Nidus, the surprise counterattack, deals with the fact that the Protoss player is relying on pinning you back on two fronts and having no defense behind it. Dark with 3 perfect answers, a beautiful combo. All right, guys, going into Data C. There was a bit of deliberation, but it is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg. Dark representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming in the top right. Reynor in the bottom left representing Kaizi. And you know what? Reynor said, I think my Protoss is just a bit too rusty. He said, I only know the 3 and 4 gas Protoss openings. I don't really know any other builds. Like, I realized, like, if I want to keep playing this series, I need to mix it up. And I don't have active practice with enough build orders to surprise Dark. And obviously Dark was bringing out those creative players. I think there's a lot of people, for those who are watching on YouTube, who missed, there's a lot of tumult and anger in Twitch chat and people being frustrated going, man, what's going on? You know, Reynor's throwing this series away by messing about with Protoss. But I think what we're seeing here is that he did really think Protoss would give him a good chance. On the other hand, we're also seeing that once you play a race and you start to get an identity with how you play with that race, there's a lot of habits and movements and ways that you play that you don't even realize you're doing. But your opponents, once you beat them a few times, and Reynor's beaten plenty of top Zerg players with his Protoss, they have studied him now. And they know what they're getting into. So much like when they play against Hero, they're no longer going, oh, it's like playing a ladder Protoss. I don't really know what's coming out of this mixed bag. It's much more than that. It's a lot of people basically just, you know, getting in there and saying, hey, okay, you're going to very predictably play Mass Blinkstalker with upgrades off Oracle opening. You're not going to have detection. Bam. Tunneling Claw Burrow Roaches. The Infestors, you know. The Nidus Swarm Host to abuse him on Stargazers because he knew Reynor would go for a greedy 4th base, double forge. And the Nidus Swarm Host could just get him a bit of momentum, hit where Reynor wasn't ready. And, I mean, Reynor struck back and made that into a pretty competitive game. But I think that Zergling sneaking by on the south side, honestly, was the clincher. Because Reynor did a really good job of spreading his units out. If he caught that Zergling crossing to spot that Nidus in game 1, we're in a very different situation right now. Now, for the ZVZ between these two, usually it's incredibly competitive. But notice that Reynor is actually planning one of the strangest builds I've ever seen. He's pulled off gas. He's doing a ZVT build in ZVZ. What? Is this Baneling Nest before Ling Speed? Baneling Nest before Ling Speed! Oh my god, I have not seen this in a hot minute. Wow, okay. Okay, so Reynor is getting a quicker 3rd base, and he's going to defend with Banelings. That's his whole play. Unfortunately for him, his opponent's already into a very quick Roach Horn. Dark is planning to rush him. Dark's doing a Roach Baneling all-in off 26 drones. A very aggressive build order. So he's going to try and make it look like a normal build, hit him with Roach Bane. Now, the advantage here is you should not add Ling Speed. With this build, it's just get a few Banelings to defend your opponent's Ling Flood, and then go into Roaches yourself. Reynor is basically planning the turtliest of all early game Zerg builds, and he's also got a very quick Roach Horn because of that. So actually, his build should set himself up really well. He's basically just saying, defend with Queens and a couple of Banelings. No Zerglings at all, really, because I'm not even investing in Ling Speed. And that could work out really well. Look at his Overlord positioning as well, guys. He's set up so far forward, he will see the Roaches very early on. If Dark injects and then moves forward, he might push the Overlord back and give himself a little bit more of the surprise factor. A couple Lings coming forward. 8 Roaches are on the way. This is a big all-in from Dark. Dark's definitely one to gamble when he's up 2-0. Oh, what am I talking about? Dark's one to gamble when he's down 2-0. he could be winning, losing. He's always going to mix it up. He's very unpredictable. They both are. Lots of drones coming out. Reynor is building 5 Roaches. He sees these Roaches coming. 6 Roaches, but he is up 16 workers. He needs to pull back from his 3rd and give that base up. Yeah, great mature decision here by Reynor. Very well done. That Spine Crawler will not survive, though. That Baneling can take it out. Well done there. Gets 100 mineral kill. 150 if you count the drone. Queens need to pull behind the ramp. He doesn't have many Banelings. Reynor trying to defend out here. Maybe a bit too ambitious because the Ling Flood is very scary. You've only got 2 Banes here. The first Baneling could get a big Juicy. He doesn't really get the big Juicy that I was looking for there. The Roaches and the Queens are coming forward. If Reynor defends the 3rd out here, I mean, this is game over, right? but he doesn't have any banelings coming in. The Ling rally will be quite scary. The Queens do have some transfuses. One of them does get a transfuse off just before it goes down, but I think he might have held on already. That's what we call a disaster for Mr. Dark. Now, Reynor desperately needs extra gases. He's building slowlings right now, which obviously don't really pack much of a punch. Dark is not droning at all. He's trying to get 4 Ravagers, or at least 2, so that he can quad bile the Overlords down. His idea is, if he can try and keep Reynor guessing, and because Reynor doesn't have Ling speed, he doesn't have much scouting. So if he gets rid of the Overlord, Reynor's maybe going to assume that Dark's droning. Dark's not. Reynor's building drones right now, guys. He hasn't taken extra gases, which is a huge mistake on his part, but he's building spines. And this Overlord's trying to dodge these biles, this minigame. Dark is massing units in secret behind this. I wouldn't mind Reynor sacrificing the other Overlord. That one goes down. If he sends this Overlord straight through, he will confirm what's happening in this game. Otherwise, he has no idea. He's still droning right now. He's adding Roaches, Banes, Queens, but the drones coming in seem unnecessary, right? He's so far behind on supply, he could die to this. He absolutely could. Reynor is way too blind right now. Way too blind. His Queens are out in the open. Dark is hiding it. One big giant thrust to try and sneak this series and steal it away from Reynor. Banelings coming forward. Oh! The Banelings don't connect. He's got 2 morphing, but they're not ready. The drones need to fight. Reynor getting all in by Dark. And it might just work. Dark with a desperate shove. But a desperate shove might just be what he needs. The spine does dodge the biles. Oh, it looks like Reynor was just too far ahead. Dark with about the perfect setup. He avoided the Baneling hits. He got a big surround, got on top, but it just shows how far behind he was after Reynor held the first push. Reynor's build is such a safe build order. Safety Baneling that's straight into Roaches and heavy Queen count. It's a solid build, and now that he's held, he's still at double the worker count. And I'm telling you, the fact that that first attack was scary is impressive, but when you're at half the income for like 4 minutes straight, something's got to give, and that's going to be Dark not being able to reinforce. Good spreadies to dodge most of the biles from Reynor. The Spine Crawler is still alive in the back. The Roach is coming forward. The Ling Ravager is somehow still putting up a good effort here, but Reynor with some fantastic spreads. Playing against all those disruptors has got him in a good spot, and you can see the supply just waning. Dark made a good go of it with the second wave, but I like this build order choice by Reynor. It's unpredictable. It's incredibly safe. Yes, it's turtley and kind of static and defensive, but I think that's the mode that he likes to play against Dark. He knows that Dark struggles to keep it in his pants for any extended period of time, so he realizes that playing a very defensive style, inevitably Dark will throw his army into the meat grinder, and that's exactly what Reynor set up for here. The beginning of a potential comeback here. It's 2-1 Dark. Up 2-1. Looks like he's going to go for a hatch first here. In the top right, it's Dark. And he's up against the 12 pool from Young Gun Reynor. Oh, wouldn't this just be the spot where Reynor drone pools? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? It is going to be hatch first. No spawning pool going down. I don't know if Reynor's going to risk that, though. On match point, I mean, that's a very Dark-esque move. And I always talk about Reynor and Dark being very similar players, and I think Reynor might do that versus Serral. I just don't know if he'd do it versus Dark. I feel like when he plays Dark, he does take up more of the defensive mantle and plays more of the European macro player to a certain extent. So a heavy pressure opening, much more like him, and it looks like he is just going to go for the hatchery behind it. So he's just going to look for the cats on the hatch. Now, I do wonder if he dodges the Overlord, because that was a situation where Dark on this map got massively surprised. He's got a very quick gas. Dark's doing the exact same build that he did versus Dongray Gu on this map. Dongray Gu surprised him with a 12 pool. He dodged the Overlord. But, Reynor's not dodging the Overlord. And that will give Dark a bit more time to prepare. Either way, so Dark has basically gone for a very quick gas and pool. But in this scenario, he's going to have to pull off gas, focus more on the minerals, and defend the hatchery. Last time he tried to defend the hatchery, he didn't try to defend it. He gave it up and just did a 1-baseling Bane counterattack. He almost won with the counterattack, but wasn't quite able to. 12 Zerglings are on the way across this map, so 6 full pairs of Lings. That's quite a commitment. And the drones are going to have to be pulled down there to try and save this hatchery. Dark has 2 Queens, 6 Lings on the way. And he's only pulled about 12 drones, maybe 11. Not really enough to fight these Lings, just trying to distract him from killing the hatchery. So good play by Dark so far. You can see the Lings getting... Ooh, they get one. And if they can get the Lings, that would be nice as well. Reynor's taking a pretty good fight, but as the Lings pop out, they're actually getting good surface area. And it looks like this has already been basically defended. Only 3 drones going down so far, but I guess a lot of mining time's gone down. Dark still has a lot of these drones deep in the red. You definitely don't want to fight once the Queens are out as Reynor. That's why he's taking the fight right now. He gets another drone. Remember that Dark does have the ping advantage here. I think the tail end of that fight was fantastic for Dark. Only lost one more drone and a couple more Zerglings. Killed all of the Zerglings of Reynor. Reynor now, 17 drones versus 15. Ling speed is on the way. So Dark is still going to immediately just counterattack with mass Ling because his name is Dark. Dark. I told you guys, he cannot keep it. He cannot keep it in his pants for long. It has to. It has to get out there. That Zerg aggression. You know, it's like chaining up a hungry dog. He needs to attack. And he says, hey, I'm already ahead off that defense. But instead of turning it into a worker advantage, I'm just going to do a Ling flood. This series could be over very suddenly, guys. Reynor is not playing safe. He's droning hard. He's trying to make a gas. He's got 3 queens. But even if he pulls to his ramp, I don't think he can defend. These queens, this is a giveaway. This is a dead giveaway. He's got to wall off right now. If he doesn't wall off right now, he's dead. I don't think he can defend because look, he's going to lose vision. The Lings are about to flood out. Reynor has to realize that this is a big sign of what's coming his way, but he's playing super greedy. He's building Lings and Ling speed himself. He's going to see it the last second, but it's way too late. He's trying to pull back. He's going to get to the mineral line, but that's 32 Zerglings. He is up at more than double the worker count. 31 workers versus 15. Queen on the ramp gets surrounded. The other queens and the drones are going to try and fight this, but he's just getting way too much surface area. Is Dark. The Lings are getting surrounded. The drones and the queens going down, and a lovely vicious counterattack after a fantastic hold. Reynor felt he needed to play greedy after the 12 pull. Did not get him the damage that he wanted. And you cannot play greedy against Dark. That man will always strike back hard and fast. And he did so then as well. I think Reynor was planning his own Ling aggression. He was thinking about his next offense rather than thinking about being responsible on the defense. And because of that, and of course the Protoss maps dropped before it, Dark does take a 3-1 victory, crushing Reynor out of the semi-finals, and he goes into the grand finals to face Beyond.